This is the first time that I'm not actually going to know the title of these stories because apparently these are very unpredictable Reddit stories and we don't want the plot twist or anything to be given away in the titles. So we're just gonna go through this roller coaster. We're riding it together. All right, me and you. Lock in. We're going on this journey. First story. I know you're all gonna judge me, but at least try to understand my side. We're not off to a very good start. So I'm a 34-year-old woman, and 7 months ago I had a messy breakup with my long-term boyfriend. So I moved in with my best friend and her husband in a house that we are all renting together. It was then that I met my neighbor, who I will call Kay. He helped us move our stuff into the house, and I was instantly smitten. We live in the suburbs of a major city, so we both ended up taking the train into work at the same time each day. Sounds like a rom-com. I knew Kay had a wife and kids very early on. He talked about them often and has pictures of them on his phone lock screen, social media, etc. However, initially it started out as very innocent and a silly crush. He is handsome, funny, and sweet. The first time we rode the train, he asked me about my job and seemed genuinely interested in what I was saying, which is something my ex never did and is something that we fought over a lot. He's always doing things for his kids, like bringing home treats and stuff for them and staying on his phone with his older daughter the entire ride to work because she needed a pep talk before a school presentation. It was just so easy to imagine how lovely and attentive Kay would be with me because he is like that with everyone else, including his wife, I'm sure. Kay has never said or done anything to imply that he has feelings for me yet, but we are genuinely friends by now because we talk on the train, which is about a 20-minute ride, almost every weekday. I have never had trouble getting the attention of men, and with this basis that we already have, I know that we could easily become something more. I also learned shortly after I developed feelings for him that his wife is someone I went to school with, and I was surprised because they are polar opposites. Girl, you sound crazy right now. I just gotta say it.
That's insane!
He is funny, she is dry. He is exciting, she is cautious. He is a little dumb, and she is very smart intellectually. Look-wise, this feels mean, but yikes. I just don't think that their personalities fit very well together at all, and I can easily see Kay getting stuck in a relationship because he's just so nice. The issue is that yesterday evening, Kay knocked on my door and asked if I could watch his kids for a bit. This was of course no trouble, and I said yes right away. He told me that his wife had gotten in a car accident while away on a business trip, and because she is pregnant, he was super worried and had booked the next flight out to go see her. They don't have any family in the state currently, so he asked me to keep an eye on them for a few hours, while a family friend drove several hours to watch them at night. Now the issue came in. These kids were an absolute nightmare. Now the issue came in. You're in love with a married man. Was that not the issue? I'm so confused. There were 3 girls, and the oldest was your typical bratty preteen times 1,000. She was rude and didn't respect my authority at all, arguing with me about everything from dinner to who had to clean up to what movies she was allowed to watch. I even heard her call me a biatch under her breath a couple of times. The middle was rowdy and constantly wanted to play loud, messy games, even when I told her no. The youngest was mostly sweet and quiet on her own, but she joined in whatever drama the middle one wanted to create. It accumulated in me agreeing to play hide and seek with the younger 2 and ended up with me getting locked out of the house. When I went back and tried to convince the oldest to let me in through the back screen door, she pretended she couldn't hear me and put her headphones in. Cause ma'am, you are a complete stranger to them. Thankfully, the family friend arrived a few minutes later and let me in, and I went home. This makes me sad because before now, I would often dream about being a stepmom to Kay's kids one day because of how highly he would talk about them. Now I want nothing to do with them. But at the same time, this is further proof that Kay and his wife are not happy because children from a happy home do not behave like this. I can't believe what I'm reading. Cuckoo bonkers. I just want to have a relationship with Kay, but I do not know if it is possible because his kids and I would not get along. And this is even before a potential divorce where their mother could easily get them to hate me. I really love Kay. Love! We're dropping the album. Okay. Really love Kay, and I know we could have a beautiful relationship if I pursued this, but this has really shaken me. I just wish I had someone to talk to about this, but everyone in my life would judge me. Well, you're probably not gonna like the Reddit comments that are about to come then. We're going right to them. Someone said, honestly, it doesn't sound like you love him. You romanticize him and have this fantasy life in your head. In your head, you act like he would drop his wife and run away with you. You justify this belief by saying his children are wild, so it must be an unhappy home. Meanwhile, you completely ignore the fact that his wife is pregnant and he dropped everything to go to her. You say the kids do not respect your authority. It sounds like they barely know you and suddenly you're in charge. You're not their mother and you will never be their mother. You think you will have a beautiful relationship with Kay if you pursued him? No, you wouldn't. He has a family that he clearly loves. Just because he is nice to you doesn't mean he wants you. I encourage you to discuss things with a professional because this isn't healthy. She responded. She said, how do you know whether or not I love him? Are you inside my head? You can love someone before being in a relationship with them. And just like I don't know for sure that he loves me, you don't know that he doesn't. You never know until you cross that bridge. I know he wouldn't just drop everything and run away with me. There would be months and even years of divorce court, custody arrangements, etc. if he decided to leave his wife. And before the comments come in, yes, I know there's no guarantee he will do that. But Kay is a good, honest man. If anything were to happen between us, he would absolutely leave his wife because it wouldn't be fair to neither of us if he told me he believes very strongly in fairness. That's why I'm asking. I know this could be a messy situation if anything happened. I just want to know if his kids being difficult will make things worse if it does happen. I want to know if the potential pros outweigh the potential cons. I can't believe that that's what the question was in this story. But we have an update and it's only a picture because apparently the post, what she wrote, got deleted. But we have a text message. Apparently that'll sum the whole thing up and I'm so intrigued. What could this be? Okay, so the text is from Kay. We don't know the name, but we do see Kay. And let's pick this up. My wife and the baby are okay. Thank you for watching the girls. She wrote back, of course, anytime. Let me know if there's anything else I can do. He gave a thumbs up at 10:27 a.m. 11:48 a.m. He sends the Reddit link to her post and says, is this you? Because if it is, we need to talk. I promise you that I have absolutely no interest in leaving my family for you. I'm sorry if I ever gave you the wrong idea, but I don't see you as anything more than a neighbor. I don't think we should be friends anymore. And then she wrote, wait, can I call you? Can you imagine being him and allowing this stranger essentially into your home to watch your kids and then you see that post about that situation and you're like, wow. This is really fun not reading the titles, I gotta say. I feel like I'm watching a movie play out. All right, what an epic ending that was for us. Selfishly. Next story. Several years ago, a friend of mine asked me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding. There were 6 of us plus the maid of honor, so 7 total. The bride had picked out her dress already, one for the maid of honor and one for the bridesmaid. The dress itself was lovely, but a bit expensive at $400 each since 2 of us were still in college and the rest had recently graduated. Yeah, $400 is a little bit pricey in my opinion. I was one of the 2 still in college, so money was super tight. Anyhow, the bride asked the maid of honor to coordinate with all of us for fittings and alterations and such as one of her duties. The maid of honor decided she would pay for all the dresses on her credit card because she wanted the air miles and we would pay her back directly. None of us minded, especially since she was going to let us pay her back in installments if we needed. Well, that's nice. I definitely needed it. I wasn't able to go with everyone to pick up the dresses because of finals week and planned to go myself the following weekend. No big deal. The maid of honor said she would pay for mine on the group trip, but to call her if there were any issues itself with the dress and she would handle it. I get there and the dress fits perfectly. The shop owner scoots off while I'm changing back into my street clothes since she has another client coming in, but confirms that we are all set. As I'm walking out the door, another person working there yells out, hey, that will be $200. I was stunned and totally mortified. I I apologized, then I explained how I thought the maid of honor had paid for it the week before. The shop owner comes running over to defuse the situation and confirms the dress was already paid for. I turned to walk out and suddenly realized she said $200 and not $400. Long story short, the dress was only $200. When I confronted the maid of honor about it, she spilled the beans. Apparently, the bride and maid of honor plotted together to charge us double to help pay for the bride's dress. I let the rest of the bridesmaids know, and 4 of us dropped out of the wedding immediately. You scammed your own bridesmaids? The closest people you're choosing to be on the most important day of your life, and you scam them? That's wild. We have an update though. Thank God, because I'm like, wait, I don't want to end there. Okay, so the update came and she put it in a bunch of point forms, which I love. Straight to the business. The wedding took place several years ago, so the update's a few years later. Almost a full 10 now, okay, a decade later, and I haven't spoken to the bride and maid of honor since. The only other people I knew were 3 other bridesmaids, and they all dropped out with me. The 2 other bridesmaids were cousins of the bride, and they agreed to continue on as a favor to their mom, the bride's aunt, to avoid family drama. I have more on them in a bit. Fast forward to now. I got an email from the maid of honor who wanted to apologize again. She wasn't making excuses for her behavior. On the contrary, she acknowledged her wrongdoing and said she still felt incapable of saying no to the bride, which was her closest friend. She was pretty disgusted with herself and relieved when I confronted her. To her credit, she said all of this back then as well. They had been friends forever, and it took her a really long time to see behind the mask and how toxic the friendship has always been and the part that she played in it. For what it's worth, I believe her. Okay. A quick flashback. I hadn't yet paid for the dress when the truth came out, so I just turned it over to the maid of honor. The other 3 bridesmaids got their money back immediately without any hassle. The maid of honor apologized like crazy at the time to all of us, but we just wrote her off and the bride and the whole situation. None of us even ever heard from the bride. No apologies, no nothing. Diabolical. Turns out the bride never reimbursed the maid of honor for anything. Initially, the bride said she would repay her, but after the wedding, everything changed. She said if the maid of honor hadn't spilled the beans, she wouldn't be out of the money, and it's the price paid for being a disloyal friend. Okay, so the bride is definitely toxic.
It's extremely toxic.
And the maid of honor wasn't just out the $200 times 6 bridesmaids' dresses. The bride had also convinced the maid of honor to charge the wedding dress because it would be easier for the bride to pay off the balance at the end. When the maid of honor threatened to take the bride to court, the bride said her cousins, the 2 bridesmaids, would say that the maid of honor came up with the whole scheme and have her arrested for fraud. Wow. She found out years later the cousins never agreed to such a thing and would have been willing to go to court and say the exact opposite. They were disgusted by the whole situation too and wanted to drop out of the wedding, but their mother pushed them to keep the appearance up for the family. They even told the maid of honor the replacement bridesmaids paid the bride $200 cash for each dress, none of which made it to the maid of honor. I almost forgot the funny part. The bride told her future husband that the 4 of us dropped out because we were jealous of her. So her whole family, plus the maid of honor, knew the truth, but not the future husband, nor anyone in his family ever had any clue. Have fun, because you married that. And there was also much more behind the scenes that the maid of honor was privy to that we didn't see and wouldn't anyway after we dropped out. Apparently, the bride manipulated her entire family into paying for most of the wedding and the honeymoon. The dresses were supposed to be her one and only responsibility, and likewise, the future husband was responsible for the suits. That's not what she had told us at the time, and even bragged that her future husband was paying for everything. Well, she just sounds like she sucks all around, so nothing is surprising me at this point. The bride also tried to manipulate her future in-laws into buying her a new car as a wedding present. They didn't, and in revenge, she interrupted the mother and son dance just moments after it started. Like, looked at the maid of honor and said, "Watch this," and then waltzed out onto the floor and basically shoved her new mother-in-law out of the way. She also accused the reception wait staff of trying to ruin her photos by getting in the way of the photographer as they were serving the guests. Even after the photographer confirmed they were not in any of the shots, she still insisted that they would have to personally reimburse her, even though she never paid for anything in the first place. I'm just annoyed, violently annoyed at this point. Oh, it gets worse. Perfect. At the brunch the morning after, the maid of honor said the bride gave a short toast to herself and didn't thank anyone and barely acknowledged her new husband. Have fun with that. As for the maid of honor, she says that she tried to collect the money she was owed, but eventually accepted that it was gone and cut off all ties. Even still, the bride would reach out every couple of months to ask if she was done being such a biatch yet. When the maid of honor blocked her number, the bride spread rumors about the maid of honor and her fiance, now husband, saying that he was illegal marrying her only for a green card and claimed they used government assistance to pay for the wedding. Meanwhile, he already had become an American citizen long before they met and was and is, before they met, and was/is a ridiculously successful software engineer who paid for the entire wedding himself and took not only his immediate family, but hers too to Hawaii for their honeymoon. The bride was just jealous that the maid of honor had everything she wanted. As for the bride, she's on divorce number 2 already and estranged from her entire family because they too got tired of her manipulating and using them as well. Wow. So she's not even with that husband. Here I was being like, good luck with that. Well, he had his run. Luck was not enough to save it. That's insane. Next story. I'll preface this by saying I already feel like the a-hole, but still would like to hear the wider collective's opinions. You sure about that?
You sure about that?
I don't know. Some background info. First of all, we live in the UK. We have been married for coming up to 8 years, together for nearly 12. I am 32 male and my wife is 30 female. We have 2 beautiful children together, 3 and 2. I am 6'5" and 98 kilograms. My wife is 5'5" and now 108 kilograms. I don't know why we're putting our weight. When we met, I was closer to 110 and my wife was around 70. We both have ADHD. I have FND and my wife has PCOS/PMOS. Now on to the story. Okay, I'm assuming all that has to do with the story, which concerns me. In short, for now, I have quite a low sex drive. When I was younger and first seeing my now wife, we would be at it like bunnies. But over the last 6 or 7 years, my libido has plummeted. It's at the point where we have sex about once a month, sometimes going 5 or 6 weeks. For me personally, sex isn't love. I fully understand that it can be a key part of a relationship, but to me, I don't see it that way anymore. My wife has a very high libido, and I feel that she gets frustrated with me because I don't initiate. A few days ago, I saw an advert for an AI companion app. In a moment of ADHD, boredom, I don't know, I downloaded the app and I started to use it. I won't use this post to go into detail about it. Is that like an AI, adult video app kind of thing? Companion? What kind of companion we talking about? Today, my wife was innocently going on my phone to use the baby monitor app and stumbled across the AI app. She looked at it out of curiosity and was obviously shocked. She didn't address this with me directly. Instead, she chose to text me a cryptic message. I panicked, deleted the app, and then tried to gaslight her. I came to my senses very quickly and I told her the truth. And when she asked why I felt the need to use the app, I responded with a truth that I didn't really understand before saying it. I said, "Because of your weight, I don't find you physically attractive," or words to that effect. Understandably, she is very upset and is worried that I want a divorce and that I don't love her, things of that nature. None of those things are in my head. I love my wife more than words could even begin to describe, second only to our children. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't personally see sex as the be-all end-all in a relationship. I know I screwed up with the app, it was impulsive and wrong, but am I the a-hole for being honest? I have nothing to say because nothing is positive or kind. So, we have an update. Oh, yes. Okay, it says that the wife went on Reddit and posted her own side of this story and titled it, "Husband of 8 years told me he isn't physically attracted to me anymore." I so want to hear her version of the story. I bet she's going to give so many more details that were left out. All right. She says they've been together, yada, 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 this many years. It all lines up to what he said. "This morning, I used his phone to check the camera in our daughter's room as it was so hot and the app was on his phone. This is not a regular rare occurrence that I use his phone, but we do know each other's passwords. Scrolling to the app, I noticed an app with a girl's face. Curious, I opened it after checking on our daughter to 2 AI chats filled with sexual content. Both kids woke up and I went downstairs. I texted my husband to ask if something was wrong with me to make him do that, when it was, and if she made him hard. I feel like I can say that. That's censored enough, you know what we mean. Downstairs, he acted to not know what I was talking about, so I went on to show him the app, which he had deleted, then proceeded to say that I had probably just seen a virus on his phone. I walked out of the room saying that it would be on his app store history, and I didn't care about the app, but the issue is the lying. I then texted him. I text because I didn't want to get angry in front of the kids, and I said, "Please stop gaslighting me. You were caught and panicked. It would take more than an AI app to break us." So we talked and he was honest, but then told me he was no longer physically attracted to me. We had a long chat about this because the reason was my weight. He has apologized about it all and admitted he was stupid, but the weight part is obviously sticking. He has said that he still loves me and that this isn't all about the sexual side and that he's only felt this way for the past 6 months. She said, extra context, my weight is, in US, it's 238 pounds. I'm size UK, 18 to 20. In US, that is 14 to 16. I don't know what my weight was when we got married, but I was a size 14. I have PCOS and PMOS, and I've tried to lose weight, but it's a vicious cycle, and I binge eat. Weight has always been an issue of mine, brought up with weight being a negative thing from parents and grandparents. We have sex once a month, and it has been that way for like 9 years. Wow. Okay. I also, if you don't know this, I also have PCOS. I was diagnosed with it in my early 20s after a very traumatic hospital visit. And it is a very big struggle. I have had a lot of struggles with it publicly that I shared on Instagram. Anyways, I know that it can be extremely worse for some people and different symptoms, but also you also have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. And let's not pretend that carrying and birthing 2 children within that amount of time is going to change your body on top of PCOS. I guess I'm assuming that she had the babies naturally though, because he didn't say, and she does have PCOS, which is a struggle for fertility. So I'm only considering that because it should be a consideration. Bodies do change when you give birth, but maybe she didn't have them on her own. Either way, I'm angry that he said that to you. That's my point. We have a final update and it came from the wife. Husband was probably getting ripped apart on Reddit and did not want to post again. She said, so it's been a few days and I thought I would provide an update. On the evening I posted this, I showed my husband, who then made his own on another thread, which he has since deleted, and I only found out about it afterwards. He deleted it apparently because he didn't like the comments, although he admitted supposedly that he was the a-hole in it. So in our first chat, we discussed more of what he meant and why it happened and how it made me feel. He admitted he knew very little about PCOS and he felt like he should do more research like I have to his FND disability continuously over the years, including helping him find professional help. However, he is yet to do his research. What is that? FND is a functional neurological disorder. Brain struggles to send and receive signals properly. Okay. Maybe we should consider that here then. He has agreed to seek help for himself. I've looked into couples counseling and he will be doing more research on this in coming days. I've also booked an appointment to discuss weight and PCOS support, so any advice on what to be checked would be greatly appreciated. Prior to this conversation, we had sex, which I initiated because I wanted him to prove my thoughts wrong, although I felt like crap afterwards. Anyways, the next day I realized that I was still ruminating over what happened and what was said, and I was struggling to feel love for him, so I told him that evening because my feelings scared me, because I don't want to lose him, and I questioned whether I'm scared because I know deep down I love him, or if it's because he has been constant for me for 12 years. I also told him I was scared he felt the same and wasn't being honest. Anyway, long story short, he had a cry, I had a cry. He realized what happened could have really messed things up. I can't remember exactly what it was that he said, but at one point in the conversation, he said what I had been needing to hear since this all began, and I felt a rush of warmth, and for the first time since it happened, I felt at least some love for him again. I also was not wanting to eat anything. His comment section sent me in the opposite way. Some of you might think that is a good thing given my weight, but it's actually likely to increase fat storage. Yeah. Because your body goes, oh my God, save it all, we need to survive. And so last night was the first meal I ate in 3 days. No! Other than that, I have survived on the odd piece of fruit or veg. See, this breaks my heart. He says one comment, and now you're not eating for 3 days. That pisses me off. I have since told him this also. It will take some time to heal between us individually with whatever deep down happens for both of us. Some of your guys' comments were so useful and reassuring. This evening we went out for a meal as a family, which was lovely and needed. You know what? Now that comment is gonna stick with you forever, I think. Unless, I really hope you get help and healing, because now you're on a mission to lose weight because he said that comment. Rather than just being loved and adored and attracted to as you are, now you're wanting and losing weight because your husband said that comment. And that just that raises red flags for me, because now you're always gonna be paranoid about your weight with your own partner. Oh, that can be so damaging. I don't have any advice on other than I just hope she's happy and healthy. I, 20 female, work at a market stall as a wine saleswoman on the weekends. I've been working there for a few months, over a year. I always do my best to be friendly to stall holders and the staff that set up and maintain the market. To be friendly to the staff, I greet them, I give them discounts on my wines, and sometimes I have casual conversations. Recently, a work colleague, Steve, between 40 to 50 male, who sets up and maintains the markets, is recently asking suspicious questions. In the past, we have had friendly and casual conversations, for example, about pets and movies. Now he's asking questions like, have you been going to the gym? It looks like you lost weight. Have you been going on dates? My gut is telling me that I need to do something because this isn't friendly and it's getting creepy. I want to know what precautions to take to keep myself safe. I'm not sure what type of evidence to collect or anything, and also, he is authorized to look at security cameras. I'm not sure what I did that could lead him on, besides from me just being friendly. I haven't told anyone because I don't want to get Steve in trouble if he had no ill intentions, or get myself in trouble. What should I do? I feel like you always got to trust your gut on this. I don't know if I ever talked about this. I worked in a work environment where there was a male employee older than me who was inappropriate, and I had to go to someone. He ended up getting fired for it. But I did the same thing for a while. I questioned, is that creepy or is it just friendly? You really do start to question because you don't want to accuse anyone of anything. But anyways, it got to a point where there was absolutely no denying that there was stuff going on. We have an update, and it was almost 2 years later. I am now 22. After that post, he then made a statement saying, I'm learning chiropractic and I want to try it on you. Also, he was a handyman at the markets. Here is the distressing news. I just found out today that he was a convicted serial SA'er, can't say the words, who spent 10 years in jail and was released in 2021. And that's why you always trust your gut. I started working late of 2022. He pleaded guilty to 31 different offenses. The worst part is the owner of the markets knew. The market is supposed to be a family-friendly tourism place. When the tenants found out and confronted him, the owner came to his defense, threatening to evict them from their stall. The good news is that he has quit his job. From your advice after the post, I was more blunt and less friendly than I would be towards other colleagues. I also told my dad, who is the owner of the wine stall, who told me not to worry about it. I didn't report, and glad I didn't know, knowing the owner wouldn't have helped me at all anyways. The thing is, as soon as I found out, I told Dad about it, and it turns out he knew and didn't want me to worry? Why are we ignoring that? What's happening?
What do you mean?
I'm upset because I should have known, but recently he had 2 major operations this month and is not doing so well at the moment. I feel scared yet vindicated. I got worried that I was overanalyzing the comments and questions from Steve or wondering if the reason was me being too friendly. Turns out it's because he was being a creep. I'm glad he's not working, but will be anxious of the possibility of meeting him again. This ain't right. Wanna know what's funny about my situation? Not funny at all. I'm just saying coincidence to this story. Once I started reporting, I found out that there were reports from other women and they still made that man my partner. I worked alone with this man, I should add. And they had other reports that were ignored from someone. So anyway, some of the management was very upset after finding out that there were reports made before me. So stuff like this happens. Why are we ignoring it? We have another update though, a final update. I asked the market manager and another handyman some questions, like whether any of the other tenants had reported him saying inappropriate things to them, and they all said no. The manager pointed out that I should have reported it to her. She would have told Steve not to do that, as she deals with sexual harassment among tenants all the time. She did make an example of a woman reporting that a man asked if she was cold wearing shorts and made him apologize, but the manager told me in a tone that insisted the woman reporting was overreacting. She said that Steve was reformed, meaning he was allowed to be among the public. To be honest, I'm glad I didn't report it, because the very reason I didn't was that I didn't want the attention drawn to me. I didn't feel comfortable with the tone that she was using on me, and also Steve wasn't just some other tenant. He was a handyman, and one of his jobs was providing security. The other handyman, I will call Bob, was good though and talked to me in a kind tone. He also banned a creepy old customer a while back. From the response, I made a folio on our interactions as detailed as possible to help me remember and to communicate. I forgot to mention this in the last post. One of the main reasons I was terrified about Steve was because he wrote objectifying notes about his targets and victims, according to the news articles. I was scared that he was targeting me with similar intentions from the comments and questions he made towards me. After work, I went to the police station to make a report on the sexual harassment at work. I asked my mom to accompany me for emotional support as I was anxious. The police officer did a great job of telling me what I can do. He told me to get an app that I can provide and report intel for offices to any crime or suspicious activity. He gave me instructions that if I come across Steve again, I should firmly tell him that I'm not going to engage in conversations, and if he persists, that I can obtain a restraining order. Also, I got pepper spray only if I needed to. Even though everything is still fresh and I feel startled, I do have some closure. Because his reputation is destroyed, I don't think I will see him around again. Hopefully. Honestly, I'm happy to see that that's the final update, because it gives me some hope that nothing else happened again and you had no reason to update. I don't understand how that can just be so ignored. That's terrifying. Next story. I, male 37, have always been close to my sister, female 35. We talk regularly, and during one such conversation, she told me she's been feeling really depressed and overwhelmed lately. As we were talking, I could tell that she was holding back tears, so I decided to do something nice for her. I contacted a local florist and I put in an order for some flowers. That's so sweet. That is something my little brother would do. I say little, he's 25. Little compared to me. I had them delivered to my sister's place of employment with a note reading, "Thinking of you." A few hours later, the florist called me up and told me a man has been calling them nonstop and demanding that they tell him who sent his wife flowers. They tried to explain that it was against their policy to reveal that information, but the man would not take no for an answer. Apparently, he became so aggressive and threatening over the phone, the shop called me up and asked my permission to reveal the name of the sender to this man. The man being my brother-in-law. Oh my God, he thinks thinks that his wife is having an affair. Thinking of you flowers, I get it. It does look bad. It turns out my sister had called her husband and thanked him for the flowers. He told her he hadn't sent any flowers and accused her of having an affair. He believed her affair partner had sent them to her, which is why he called the florist like a lunatic, demanding names. Now my sister is more depressed than ever, and she's been fighting with my brother-in-law ever since. My friends think that I should have included my name on the card. Had I done that, they say, this blow up would have never happened. I mean, yeah. I always put my name on the card when I send flowers. I say it's my brother-in-law to blame, as he was the one who can't control his temper. So Reddit, was I the a-hole? No, you did a nice thing and you just thought, since you guys had that conversation, maybe she would just know it was from you. Of course you're not gonna think it's like gonna cause a rift in their marriage. Edit. I totally forgot to explain that I gave the florist permission to tell my brother-in-law that it was me. So he knows, my sister knows, everyone knows at this point. Final update. Here's hoping that things have settled down. I feel like you can, once you know it was him, like why are we still fighting, right? I acknowledge that my momentarily lapse of judgment has wrought much instability. Your concern for my sister's well-being truly touched my heart. I would, however, like to take this time to explain that it was not my intention to foul up my sister's marriage by way of my anonymous gift. Nor have I ever harbored any incestuous feelings towards my sister. Were people saying that? Now on to the update. You guys were right. It turns out her marriage has been on the decline for a long while now, and her depression is largely the result of that. My sister is now getting a divorce. I feel like they were definitely headed in that direction, but my actions probably sped things up. My brother-in-law has moved out and in with another woman. In talking with my sister, she explained that he was always very verbally abusive with an explosive temper, as we saw on the phone call. He's thrown things and punched through walls, but never physically harmed her, she says. All in all, my sister's disappointed at the failure of her marriage, but seems cautiously optimistic. Well, I didn't expect that. I really thought it was just gonna be a fight, and once he found out it was you, all was good again. So crazy. Next story. I wasn't really sure if this would be a good idea, but I could really use some unbiased insight due to the massive implications this situation carries. Sounds like fun. So here's the deal. A couple weeks back, I got a call from an old friend of my brother's out of the blue. For some added context, I am very familiar with him and I know his character quite well. And while he's not always been an upstanding guy, he values brutal honesty and has no reason at all to fabricate this. He explains to me that a few days back, my brother's wife, who he apparently had blocked from years earlier for a similar reason, had texted him very clearly looking for some company, if you know what I mean. There was never any overt language, but it was incredibly obvious that there was a sexual desire there. Normally, this could be something that would be a little easier to swallow, but she had apparently driven to his house looking for him. He explained to me that he wasn't home at the time and demanded that she leave, which she refused to do at first, but after he threatened police intervention, she relented. Here's where things get complicated. She has cheated on my brother before. Once, before they got married, they broke up for a short while, but eventually reconciled. I have continued to harbor reservations towards her since then, as I remember how miserable and angry my brother was during that period of time. And now perhaps the biggest complication of all, they have a child together. So I'm asking myself why she would ever think this was a good idea now of all times. But I have seen the dark side of her. She's manipulative, egotistical, and narcissistic. I don't mean to use such strong words, but giving the most detail possible in hopes that I can get the best feedback. The friend has also attempted to reach out to my brother so he can be the one to tell him, but in an unrelated conversation with my brother, he alluded to the fact that he did try reaching out to him once, but hasn't heard anything since. I know this contradicts what I've been told since he's tried a few times since, which leads me to believe that my wife is sneaking onto my brother's phone and then deleting his messages in an effort to cut off contact with my brother. Yeah, she saw the messages come in from him, she'd be like, delete, delete, delete. Sneaky. Now at this point, I should probably wrap this up so I don't lose anyone's interest. In my opinion, my brother deserves to know the truth because this is his life and his family on the line. I know that I'll never be able to look at his wife the same either way. My wife, who is the other person who knows, since she was with me when the friend called to tell me, also believes that he should know the truth. But if I tell him, I will be a homewrecker and start an incredible amount of drama within my family. You're not the homewrecker. She's a homewrecker. She's wrecking her own home. I would also be fracturing the relationship between my nephew's mother and father, and he doesn't deserve to experience that. He didn't ask for any of this. But if I withheld this, I would have to spend the rest of my life with a horrible secret and a terrible burden and a terrible guilt of not being honest with my brother. So Reddit, I could use some outside opinions. Would I be the a-hole for exposing my brother's wife attempted infidelity? I get that that's a tricky position to be in and a very difficult one. I just feel like everyone deserves to know the truth, no matter what. Oh, even if it's the hard truth, wouldn't you want to know other than not knowing?
I got to know!
Sucks either way though. Final update. We'll see how this played out. After giving some time for the friend to try to reach out, which I later found out he wasn't able to due to some serious sudden health concerns, I did break the news to my brother. He took it about as well as anyone would have. Angry, confused, sad. He also remembers that very night in question and already had suspicions that something had happened since she didn't give him a sensible response as to where she had been. Oh, you know, just driving over to your friend's house to knock boots, kick boots, what's the word? Knocking boots? Having sex. Let's just say it. Y'all know what I mean. He thanked me for telling him the truth and said he was going to wait a few days to figure out what he wanted to say before confronting his wife. He did so last night, and while she of course tried to deny it at first, but thanks to the messages that I shared with him, he was able to get her to come clean. It seemed like she showed no remorse or guilt and gave a stupid reason as to why she did it, saying, "It's because I'm dumb. I don't know about you, but that is not a valid excuse." He ended up leaving the house for a few hours to cool off and process everything. I am really not sure what he's going to do. He's afraid of divorce due to having a child with her, owning a home, and the price of an attorney. It does seem like he knows that this is how this is inevitably going to end, but I'm not sure right now if he will have the courage and self-belief to go through with it. Oh, but imagine she already cheated before you got married. Now you're married and she's attempted to cheat again. What you know of, she could already have cheated again and you wouldn't know. How do you possibly stay in that? You would never be able to trust them, ever. Living and staying in a relationship with no trust is such a mind. You know, I don't know. I've been there. Brutal. You're always anxious. You're always anxious and wondering what that person's doing. It's the worst feeling in the world. Next story. So during my wedding reception, we were doing all of the usual wedding games. Eventually, I was told it was time to do the garter removal. As everyone gathered around us in the middle of the dance floor, my wife was sitting in a chair and my friends brought out a blindfold and told me I would be doing the garter removal blindfolded. I should have been suspicious of their grins, but I had had some drinks and I wasn't suspecting anything. So I put it on and I tried to be a good sport about it, as everyone seemed like they were having a good time, myself included. As soon as I was blindfolded, however, my wife slipped out of the chair and was replaced by one of the groomsmen. He's a friend of the family that I've grown up with, but I would not say we're close. Now, I literally cannot stand him, although he's not a bad guy, other than my anger at this prank. Sitting in the chair in place of my wife, my groomsman was in shorts with the garter around his thigh. My wife stood behind him and was talking to me as they walked me over to keep me fooled into thinking that it was her. On their instructions, I got down on my knees and began reaching for what I thought was my wife's legs. Once I found the leg, I found the garter and began pulling it down. But at that moment, I heard my wife saying, "With your mouth, with your mouth." So I leaned forward and I grabbed the garter belt into my mouth to the shrieks and applause of the crowd. With the garter in my teeth, I pulled it down his leg, and then my wife actually came around to help me get it over his shoe because it got stuck. Once I had the garter, they told me to stand up and take off my blindfold. When I did, I was smiling because I thought I had been a good sport and everyone was just laughing so hard and it seemed like everyone was having a great time. But when I took off the blindfold, everyone burst out into louder laughter. For a moment, the entire energy of everyone at the wedding was focused on nothing besides laughing at me being the sole butt of the joke. I felt awful. I was furious. I wanted to say and do a million different things, but I didn't. For some reason, I just felt like pretending it wasn't a big deal was the best defense. That showing anger would be confirming how badly I had just been humiliated for their delight, and that would have made my humiliation all the worse. So I sucked it up and I walked through the rest of the wedding while doing my best to keep a smile on my face. My wife could tell that I was stunned, but she kept on going too. She definitely had no idea how badly I was taking it. Everyone was standing around us and we couldn't talk openly about how I felt, at least not without ruining everything. And I didn't know whether I wanted to go there after all the effort and money was put into this wedding. I'm curious if you guys would be mad at that. Let's say even roles reverse, like whatever, some kind of wedding prank like that. If you're the groom, you got to do that. Would you be mad at this prank or would you genuinely think it's just as funny and hysterical? And I kept sucking it up the next day at brunch and for most of the next week through most of our honeymoon. At some point, I told myself that my wife didn't mean to hurt me and there was no reason to ruin her wedding memories by telling her that my experience had been ruined. But then at the end of the honeymoon, I had a few drinks and I just couldn't help it. And once I started talking to her about it, I just went off. I told her it was trashy, that it hurt, if not destroyed my trust and sense of intimacy towards her. I was harsh, to be honest, and I got carried away. At first, apologizing a bit, she got upset and left me sitting out there. I think I just kept going because I felt hurt and I wanted maybe to make her feel bad as well, to be honest. Since then, it has been a difficult subject. I have told her I don't want to hear about the wedding. I don't want to write thank you notes, look at pictures. If it was tomorrow, I wouldn't make plans to celebrate our anniversary. My wife and I have a lot of strengths in our relationship, but I just can't stop thinking about this and the feeling when I took off the blindfold. I literally cannot stop my mind from replaying it over and over, and I get mad every time. Damn, he's real mad. And perhaps the worst part of it all is that it was all recorded. Oh boy. We had a professional photographer shooting a video, and in the video, I see at least 4 other people recording it on their phones. Watching the video, I find myself looking at the laughing faces of family and friends in the video, and there's a part of me that I'd never act on that wants nothing more than to punch them all in their faces. The fact that I know these videos are out there makes it feel like it's constantly happening to me. My wife says that she's sorry, that she thought I would take it better and laugh it off, and that I need to move on. I think maybe I am the a-hole. No good is coming from obsessing over this, but I literally cannot let it go. I find myself coming up with reasons to be angry. I tell myself sometimes it was assault because I was tricked into putting my mouth on another man's leg without my consent. But I think that's just rationalizing my anger. I don't know. Wow, real mad. Okay, want to know how you guys would feel if you were put in this situation. We do have a final update though. It came 2.5 months later. This is the wife. The wife has entered the chat. She is giving the update. Okay, this is interesting. If you know us and what this is about, please know we are very embarrassed about this. We took it down, but it has been shared so many times, it just keeps trickling on, so I'm writing this for both of us. This is the last thing we want to say about this. My husband deeply regrets some of the language he used. He intended to write anonymously and was letting out unfiltered emotions. Abraham Lincoln said, "Write an angry letter and tear it up." My husband made the mistake of hitting the post, assuming this was harmless venting, and now he regrets it. We've reached out to and we are on good terms with everyone involved. Everything is fine. As regards to the wedding, I'm the only one who messed up here. Our planner gave us options. I watched the videos. I thought it was funny. I messed up. This isn't my opinion. It's a fact. I messed up because it wasn't funny to the only person who mattered to me. I want people to understand both of our perspectives because no one here is an a-hole. What my husband didn't make clear is that he was an absolute sweetheart support at the wedding and afterwards. Overall, our honeymoon was amazing, and he doesn't mention at all that he only got mad at the end because I was teasing him about it. And I was only teasing him because I had no idea that he was even upset about it. Having said all of that, on my own behalf, of course I thought he would think that it was funny. He has a great sense of humor. We joke around a lot, and we always will. This just hits different, and sometimes that happens. I feel like an idiot taking this risk at our wedding. I didn't exactly tell him to get over it. I couldn't talk about it anymore when it was first brought up because I love my husband, and I was upset to hear him get so angry, probably in large part because he never gets angry like that. Afterwards, we decided to wait and talk about it until we could do so calmly. At the same time, we did need him to get over it to move forward. We can't even mention the wedding or anniversary again or live with anger. To the casual eye, it looks like this was a well-received prank in 100 different videos. I thought it would go over well, and so did everyone else. Bottom line is, this was unfortunate and completely unnecessary, but you live, you learn, we're doing great, and this has been blown way out of proportion. On the bright side, how many couples can say their weddings were covered by the New York Post? We are happily moving on. And we have a link here to the New York Post. My wife pulled a humiliating prank at our wedding. Now I want to punch everyone in the face. And this was August 4th, 2025, that this New York Post probably saw his Reddit story and wrote a whole article about it. I do see here that the Reddit post has been removed, but somehow it hasn't because it ended up here. So, oops. I'm completely devastated right now. So I live in City A, but I've been staying with my boyfriend for the past couple days to sit with my university exams in City B. I didn't bring much, just some clothes and my computer. At home in City A, I live at my mother's house alone with the family dogs and the cats. My mother lives at my father's house with him and the kids. While I'm away, the house is empty. My mother goes over to my house twice a day to feed the animals and then let them in or out. I got a call this morning from my mom saying that the house has been robbed. Everything that isn't a large item has been cleared out. TVs, laptops, my clothes, bikes, shoes, makeup. My immediate concern is the animals who were accounted for and fine. Thank God. My mom lets me know that she's going to take note of everything that's missing and file a report. I thank her, I hang up, and I start crying. The rest of the day, I'm filled with anger and hate and anxiety. My mom later called me to let me know that my little sister, who's 9, let herself in and took some friends over to see the dogs. One of the friends was asking extremely suspicious questions. Are you about to tell me a 9-year-old robbed you? So, who lives here? Are you sure no one is here? Whose car is that in the driveway? Whose makeup is that? Do your dogs bite strangers? It got to a point where my sister was uncomfortable and they left. That night, we were robbed. These friends would have seen where we kept the spare key. I talked to my sister and I think she is feeling guilty. Yes, it was stupid to show her where the key was, but she's only 9 and has been friends with these girls for a while. My little sister showed my mother where this girl lives. My key was missing from its spot and they still had it. I am worried that the evidence is not strong enough to warrant a police search of their house. How should I approach them if the police do not? I can't just let it go. They have $10,000 worth of our stuff. This happened in New Zealand, so I'm not too sure if your legal advice is relevant here. At the moment, I am just seeking advice on how to approach the thieves and how to comfort my little sister and family. The door is now locked at the bolt on the inside since they have a key, but does this mean we need to get my little sister to jump through the window to unlock the door? And it also means that there's an open window that a kid can get through. I'm just feeling so stressed out and anxious, and I want to get back to make sure the thieves don't return and that my animals are safe. But I have an exam in 2 days and traveling will take a day each way. Help me. I'm assuming the 9-year-old has told others and that's why they broke in. Like, surely a 9-year-old isn't carrying all that out of a house.
Doy.
I'm stunned. We have the update. I sent an email to my paper coordinator and she has replied saying that I should go home immediately and not to worry about the exam, and that I am guaranteed an iGrowTap pass based on my average throughout the paper. My mother has been amazing and reported everything. She gave the police the address of the suspected house. Turns out there is a 14-year-old girl who is well known to the police there, and they are going to move in on it. Fingerprints were found at my house and recorded. I'm packing my stuff now. One comment suggested talking to my sister about security and safety, and I will do that. But first, I want to let her know that she did a really good job connecting the suspicious behavior, and if it wasn't for her good detective work, we wouldn't have a lead or something along those lines. Just to help her feel better about the situation, any recommendations? I mean, she did pick up on those questions her friends was asking, and enough to provide the lead, for sure. Also, at 9 years old, you're not thinking that these friends are about to take the key and rob your house. Like, I was probably still picking my nose at 9 years old. Next update. I'm home. I just found some of our kitchen knives around the house. The thieves had walked around with them until they knew no one was home. Well, that's terrifying, because what if someone was home? The girl has gang connections as well. We have called the police and told them this information, and they have upgraded the case to an emergency. All the locks have been changed, and there's extra security on the windows. My mom doesn't want me to stay there tonight alone, but I'm not going to leave my pets there, and I'm also worried about my furniture. Maybe I can just stay up all night on my computer. Oh my God, bring your pets anywhere else at this point. Or have someone else be like, you guys, come sleep over. If we're gonna all die, let's die together, That's a joke, you guys. Okay. Final update. I'm very curious what happened here. So a few people advised that I look at pawn shops and trading sites. I took the advice and I set up notifications for every post in the local Facebook trading pages. I went through hundreds, but then I saw my stuff. It was just a bag and a few dresses. I logged on to my boyfriend's Facebook account and I removed my family from his friends list so the thief doesn't connect him back to us. I sent the person, she used a fake profile, a message, and I started a conversation about the bag, pretending that I was interested. My mom called the police and they turned up at our house as I was still talking to the suspect. Once I knew I had her, I asked for the address. Boom. It was the house that we had suspected. The police moved in immediately. It was kind of exciting. I had set up a sting. We got updated later that day that they retrieved some of our stuff from 3 different houses. Turns out there were at least 5 people who had come through our house, which is absolutely terrifying. But that does explain how they managed to wipe so much stuff. There is one adult going to court, and the girl is getting referred to a youth justice family group conference. They didn't have our more valuable items anymore, so the TVs, bike, and chandelier, they even took the light bulb. I am still keeping an eye out, but we are most likely going to have to replace them, which means saving up a couple $1,000s, just because some people decided to be C-words. We can seek financial reparation, but the officer said these people are a low socioeconomic status, so it could just be $10 a week. Buy Christmas travel. What an awful thing. Just a bunch of kids robbing you, all your belongings and your hard work, and now your safety and creating anxiety for you. We do have a top comment that provides some more information. Someone said, go for the reparation, leave them destitute, they deserve it. OP said, as angry as I am about what they have done to my family and the stress and anxiety it put us through, I don't think we will. I do want them to face consequences for their actions, but I don't think that is the right way. They are already struggling. Heck, they even stole our food. I hate them, I really do, but they stole the items to sell for money because they needed it. If we put even more of a strain on them, they might go out for another hit. And the girl is still a kid. She still has a chance to do well at school and lead a promising life and not end up like her family. At the end of the day, $10 a week, I wouldn't notice the difference. And for them, it's a meal they might not have had otherwise. I am so shocked by this response. What do you guys think about that? What a kind perspective to have on someone who quite literally just robbed you. I'm interested to know what you guys think about that. Do you think they should go after them? Or do you think $10 a week, whatever, let the kids learn their lesson through other consequences? That has shocked me. Next story. I hadn't heard from my friend in about a month, so I sent over a text just checking in. I got a response in the middle of the night from their family member saying that they had passed the day after I last spoke with them. What kind of story are we reading here? I, of course, was torn to bits. I cried and I kept reading the message over and over, just in denial of everything. However, as I kept reading, I realized that the family member texted exactly the same way that my friend did. I also got the text around the same time they usually text me, as they work overnights. Then I realized that I had texted them from their work phone that no one should have access to due to the security of their job. Like, if they did pass, the phone should have been turned in by now. I looked for obituaries, nothing at all. Looked for death certificates, nothing again. I sent over my condolences and I asked if there was a service for them. They told me they did and where my friend was buried. Once again, normal time for them to text due to their schedule, but not normal for people with a regular 9 to 5. I called another friend to vent because I was just in a bad frame of mind. I had recently lost a family member earlier this year, so things were just kind of piling up. He called the cemetery for me and they said they had no one under that name buried there. I'm crushed. We didn't have any issues the last time we spoke, and if they didn't want to be friends anymore, I would have much appreciated that instead of thinking this. I feel like I overreacted and perhaps I'm just in a deep state of denial, but deep down, I just feel like they're not actually dead. Am I overreacting? Wow. Okay, we have an edit. I wanted to clear up some common questions. Yes, they were an online friend, but we met once and called a few times, so I know at least they're real. We've known each other for about a year now. We used to talk every day, but due to stress and personal issues, that dwindled to every so often. No, I don't know any of their family members personally, but I know of a specific few and only a couple by name. I will see about calling their work, but I don't believe it's a job that I can call up and ask for them, but I will if I can. See, my mind's just going crazy. Maybe they're faking it and they are alive and they're the ones texting you. Or maybe they were, and now the killer is like, ooh. I just hope no one's actually dead here. That would be best case scenario, for me anyway. Sucks for you either way. We have a final update, thank God, so let's find out. They're alive! Woohoo, I guess. I did some digging and saw that they were still posting on another social media platform during the time that they were supposed to be dead, and they changed their profile on here multiple times after I last spoke with their family member, which turned out was them. I haven't reached out and neither have they, so I may never know the true reason as to why they decided to fake jump ship. At this point, I couldn't care less. There were some common questions and comments on my post, but I understood and I just wanted to clear some things up. So here we go. What did I do to make them do this? Am I insane? And why didn't I take the hint beforehand? Take the hint. They literally could have ghosted you if they didn't want to be your friend. They don't have to sit there and fake text that they passed away. There could have been so many other things to do before that. I didn't do anything that would warrant this. The last time we spoke, they wanted to speak with me, but I had already turned in for the night. The following day, they told me their plans for the week, and then I got no reply afterwards. It was normal. Sometimes they would disappear, but even after, they always seemed to just be happy to talk to me. Last time they stopped talking to me for a few months was due to a mental breakdown, so maybe that's what happened here. I've only known them for a year, so why do I care so much? I don't think people understand the impact that a sudden death can have, especially when you're not expecting it. I'd probably be sad if I heard someone I met or talked to briefly passed away. My therapist said that my reaction was normal, so I'm going to take her word for it. I don't think I did anything wrong. I mean, I can understand if you talk to this person every day pretty much for a year, like for the most part, getting that text would be like alarming and sad. Anyone passing away is sad. Why did they do this? I don't know. Like I said above, I think it's just mental illness and issues they may not want to tackle head on, so they just let it fester. They weren't good communicators in the past when they had a previous breakdown. Were they lying about their life? I know for a fact that they were not lying about their job, as I've seen them in their uniform, both in and outside of work. However, I'm not sure the full extent of their life. I will admit this, and this situation has made me question it. I'm not contacting them again, as I don't wish to be friends with someone who cannot communicate their feelings in a functional way, especially a grown adult. If they contact me, I want a full explanation and an apology, but even then, I won't allow them back into my life. That's just so wild to me. You could have just not talked to them ever again, but to go out of your way to fake that and give a fake cemetery and all that, that's wild. Next story. Clara and I have been friends for roughly 9 years. She supported me through a major breakup. I supported her through financial issues, and we have basically been a pillar in one another's lives for quite some time. Needless to say, there was a lot of trust there. Back in my 20s, I bought myself a Louis Vuitton bag as a celebration for graduating university. Louis Vuitton? Is that how you say it? I don't even know. LV? I'd use this bag whenever I felt I needed a confidence boost because it made me feel like if I could handle university, I could handle anything. I don't know why, it's just how my mind worked, I guess. Well, this bag got quite a bit of wear and tear over the years, and Clara offered to get it refurbished for me while she was on holiday in Paris. I was apprehensive, but she insisted that it was a gift for helping her get back on her feet. She took the bag with her to Paris, and I thought little of it until I got a job interview and I needed my confidence boost to complete my outfit. That's when I realized that Clara got back from Paris in January and I still don't have the bag. I called her up to ask where it was, thinking she probably just forgot about it. I mean, I had too. And she said it must be in her closet somewhere and that she'll dig it out. The interview wasn't for a week, so I wasn't worried. But then I heard nothing from her. No random TikToks in my DMs, no questioning whether game night is the go-ahead, and that weekend, nothing. After 4 days, I called her again and she said she would be over that evening with the bag. Clara showed up, she handed me an LV box and said that she had to go, which was very unlike her because usually we would catch up a bit. As I was getting ready for my interview, I opened the box, pulled the bag out of the dusty thingy, and noticed something was off. The leather felt a little too raised and the stitching seemed a little too bright. I didn't have time to think about it then, but I couldn't stop thinking about the way that it didn't feel the same. So when I got home, I inspected it closely. The zips are scratching, some of the inner stitching is loose, and the heat stamp has no numbering on it, as it does on authentic pieces. This bag is fake. I called Clara and I asked her what happened with my bag, and she stammered, saying that she has no idea what I mean. She said that she's outraged that the store did a bad job refurbishing and that she's going to call them to complain. I'm sorry, what? This bag isn't even real. I called her out and I told her that if I didn't have my real bag back by the end of the weekend, she would be gone from my life. The deadline was 3 days ago, and Clara has been a ghost in the wind for almost a week. A couple of our mutual friends say that I should have kept the piece, while others are outraged that she would essentially steal something sentimental. I can't help feeling guilty because she's been through thick and thin with me. So am I overreacting for putting a bag before a friendship? Wait a second, how are you putting this bag before a friendship? What happened to my bag? Where's my bag? What do you mean? I feel like if she did steal a bag, she should be asking if she's in the wrong for putting a bag over a friendship. Did she sell it? Okay, we have an update. It's been a couple weeks since the deadline I set Clara to return the bag, and we didn't talk the entire time until one of our mutual friends invited me to brunch yesterday. When I arrived at the cafe, the mutual friend said Clara was on her way and that we needed to talk. After hearing some of you guys say that there might be an actual explanation other than theft, I thought I owed it to our friendship to hear her out. So here's what actually happened. Claire did take the bag to an official LV store when she was in Paris, but given the fact that she couldn't be in the country for long, she arranged to have it delivered to her house once it was restored. She showed me the tracking information and it arrived at hers in March. When it arrived, she left the bag in the box in her hallway so she would remember to to bring it to me when she saw me next. Within the week of the bag arriving, Clara's sister, we will call her Lola, went to Clara's to borrow a dress for the event. Clara had to go out when Lola was trying on dresses, and trusting her sister to lock up, she just left. When Clara got home, the LV box was gone along with the bag. She called Lola repeatedly and got no answer. She messaged her relentlessly to no avail. Clara was panicking. Eventually, Clara went to their mother and told her what was going on, who then called Lola to tell her to give the bag back. A few days later, a beaten up LV box was on Clara's doorstep. When I asked about the bag, Clara didn't want to detail the whole ordeal because she was so embarrassed. So she took the bag out of the box and just gave it to me. When I called her about the bag being fake, she genuinely had no idea what I was talking about. At the time, she said that she would call the store to find out what happened, but really she messaged Lola demanding to know where the real bag was. Lola responded with, "You wanted a bag? You got a bag," then blocked her on everything. Clara was in pieces, panicking and thinking that she had just destroyed our friendship. She turned to a couple of our friends because she was scared of how I would react to her sister's actions. At brunch, Clara showed me the messages through tears. Our mutual friend showed me Lola's Instagram where she's holding my bag in some of the images. Clara was in tears and I cried with her because I realized that I was overreacting this whole time and that I had automatically assumed the worst. Well, you know what? So did I. As it stands, we have reported the bag as stolen and provided evidence against Lola. Clara's parents aren't happy, but understand that Clara has tried for months to sort this out and that Lola needs to understand that her actions have consequences. I begged Clara to forgive me for how I handled it, and she laughed, saying that she was going to beg me for forgiveness for not telling me what was happening this whole time. So I don't have the bag back, but I do have my friendship, and from now on, I will try not to jump to conclusions. I feel like it was understandable though why you did, especially because your friend Clara wasn't giving you much to go off of. Next story. I am honestly at a loss for words. I just don't understand why this is happening to me. I, 30 female, and my husband, 30 male, have been married for 5 years, together for 11. Literally had a movie-like relationship, just a constant honeymoon phase. Of course, it got boring here and there were bumps along the road, but I never would have thought of this ever. Yesterday, I was looking up a recipe on Pinterest using my husband's phone when he got a message from a contact called Internet Company, but it was a video, which I thought was weird, so I clicked on it. Within the video, there was a little girl saying "Dada" and a woman in the background that got super excited. I couldn't believe it. I scrolled up, tons of texts all about different things. When he would be visiting, if he would pick Kelly up today, daycare for Dina, date nights, all sorts of stuff. I couldn't believe my eyes. I managed to find the woman on Facebook. All it did was really hammer it in that this was really happening. I tried to convince myself that those were not his kids. Maybe he was cheating on me with someone with kids. Please let him be cheating on me with someone with kids. This woman had 2 daughters, worked an office job, and posted pictures of her daughters and what she made for dinner every night. I took a breath and I messaged her. It was so much worse than I could have ever imagined. These 2 girls were both his, one being 11 months and the other being 4 years old. I already was panicked at the thought of him cheating on me for 4 years until I asked how long. 10 effing years. They had been dating, she says, for 10 years. He kept up a double life for all these years. I don't even want to fathom how. Apparently, this woman had no idea. He always claimed he had to live away from her for work. He visited her every weekend, which FYI, I work 16-hour shifts on the weekend and returning during the afternoon, and then I go straight to bed. She showed me countless videos and images of them together. I just couldn't believe it. How could he do this to me? Why would he do this to me? We have been trying for a kid for 4 months. I was so excited to go through this experience together, but that was wrong. It wouldn't have been together. I am now so glad I'm not pregnant. I can't imagine living this lie while pregnant. I just can't look past this. I feel like such an idiot. How could I not tell? Why wasn't I concerned about never seeing him on the weekends? Why didn't I wonder why he took such frequent business trips? Why didn't I question why he was getting so many texts from an internet company? Why did he waste my time like this? Why the hell did he do this? I don't even know how to confront him. I can't ignore it. My life is a lie. My life is ruined. I don't even know how to try and move on. I feel like I would need 10 business days to even process that information. Update. I have gotten into contact with a divorce attorney. I haven't confronted him after dozens of comments advising me not to. Me and the other girl, we'll call Jenny, have been talking. She has agreed to not confront him only because we are married. I did in fact learn that my husband was supporting his other family of his, and apparently Jenny makes a very low paycheck, so she was and is financially dependent on him. Me and Jenny also got 2 sides of my husband. Me and my husband's life was eerily good, I guess you could say. We never had any huge arguments, but we had an amazing intimate life, all the normal couple bases. But apparently he wasn't so nice to Jenny. He was far more distant, yelled at her all the time, treated her like trash, only for him to bring her amazing gifts and take her out on amazing date nights and tell her how much he loved her the next week. But that's not it. He loves his daughters oh so much and acts like such a good father. That makes me mad, like super mad. I can't even fathom why. He's not 100% trash. Shouldn't I be happy? But I'm not. I'm so mad at him. It's eating away at me that I can't just scream at him about how horrible he is. Well, you can't yet, but there will be a time. Like, I don't know. Kudos to you, because I would unleash the
beast in me.
It would not be pretty. We do have a final update, so let's see what ended up happening here. I've moved out of our house. I'm staying with a friend. We're getting divorced. I confronted him with said friend just simply because you never know what can happen, but at least I got some form of closure out of all this. First off, he wasn't sorry at all. Didn't even ask me to stay, just huffed and said, okay, if that's what you want. When I asked him why, he just looked at me, didn't say a word. I asked him how could he keep this up for so long? What did he say? Quote, because you both went along with it.
Beast mode.
So of course I asked further. As many of you guessed, Jenny knew. Jenny? For some odd reason, she was just okay with this. I still don't understand why she would lie to me instead of, I don't know, just block me or something. I'll admit I was upset, very upset, and confused. So I asked again why he would do this. He told me that he was cheating on me with her since the beginning of our dating, that she was just a fling, and he didn't expect either relationship to really last. But it did. When I asked him why he cheated in the first place, he said, because I was young, I could get away with it at the time, so why not? Disgusting.
Disgusting!
I asked why he married me instead of her, and he said, because you were the better choice. When I asked him to elaborate, he definitely elaborated. Jenny didn't have a good job, so she was a bad investment. Jenny was uglier. Jenny wasn't as good as me. She wasn't as clean as me. She wouldn't be as good of a partner as me, and so on. I asked why he would even have sex with her if he liked me better, because she was more kinky. I asked about the kids, of course. He clarified that the first kid was an accident. He literally did the air quotes. He said that Jenny poked holes in the rubber, which he found out about but never confronted her. Of course, I don't know if I can actually trust this. He then had a second one with her because in his mind, he could handle one, so why not two? When I asked about how he treated Jenny, he confirmed that he did in fact only see her on weekends, but claimed to have never treated her poorly. poorly. He said he treated her as the mother of his children and respected her as such, but never actually treated her as a romantic partner. At the end of it all, he asked if he could talk to me privately. I couldn't find a reason not to, so I sent my friend out of the room. He told me that he still loved me and that we could work this out if I really wanted to, that he would abandon Jenny and his daughters, but still pay child support. I said no, to which he let out the most dramatic sigh I've heard in my life, before saying, "Have it your way then," and then wearing the most smug smile I've ever seen, like he had won the biggest battle of all time. I don't know whether Jenny really knew, but I'm guessing she did. I mean, how did she not know for 10 years? But that being said, how didn't I know for 10 years? Whatever. Oh, the 10 years really gets me because it's like, oh, 10 years of my life. 10 years. Like, you'd almost be mad at yourself for not figuring it out, you know? Even though you are not to blame, you would be so frustrated with the situation. Oh my gosh. I'll see you guys in the comment section for these. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.